my favorite reviewer name of all time, Kirk Honeycutt of Hollywood Reporter. I've had him on one time before. I love him.
I know, yeah. It's like, I feel like he's a detective, maybe? I don't even know. Like an 80s detective on Miami Vice. Like, Honeycutt!
Yeah, Chief. At it again, huh? Honeycutt!
Honeycutt!
Going to air.
Stand by film.
5,
Stand by music.
4,
Stand by announce.
3, 2, 1.
And fade up.
Fish are friends, not food.
Make it Centauri time.
Too much iron on your blood.
Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color?
Hey, what happened?
Let's fly! Let's get pissed and watch boom. Hello, you've got a base.
Are you saying there's something wrong with my gear?
We're going streaking!
He found me!
He's doing his Superman thing.
I still only counts as one!
Why is the rum always gone?
Well, welcome to a brand new episode of 20 Years, 4 Beers. We are a podcast dedicated to re-watching movies from 2 decades ago or more. Excuse me. While simultaneously enjoying a minimum of 4 modern beers.
Or more.
My name is Steve, and this is my big brother,
Tim.
And we are coming to you live-ish from Minneapolis, Minnesota. In this brand new episode, we will be journeying back into the films of 2 decades ago and rewatching the extremely surprising mega hit franchise starter, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. Typically, before we jump in, we talk about some newer films or TV that we've been watching. I am going to talk about one real quick here in a minute. And I think last time we referenced that we would be talking about Oppenheimer in this segment on Jurassic Park or whatever it was.
Yep.
We did talk about Oppenheimer, but we're not going to do it right now because we knew we had the forethought to say, you know what, let's record a separate episode for those of you who are interested in hearing our thoughts. Number one, kind of for spoiler reasons, but also number two, we were never going to make it in under 5 minutes. So a nice half hour of pontificating about Oppenheimer is out there. Please go find that. We loved it, suffice to say.
It's amazing.
Tim didn't have any, but I just want to say that we talked a little bit off air on this of saying after the movie, we just bought the book and I watched the documentary. We just started like eating up everything Oppenheimer, and he's just like fascinating to us right now. I had this moment the night after, I think, or a couple days after, and I was like, what would happen if Nolan had directed the movie Contact? In my mind, I was like, because I was kind of getting into like this theoretical physics, like all this like science stuff, and I was like, what would and then I was like, I'm going to watch that. And so I watched Contact again, which I believe both of us really enjoy. I really enjoyed that movie. I think
Yes,
you do as well. And that's definitely from a Carl Sagan standpoint. It's a really heady film.
Yep.
They're not similar in their film, but I kept thinking like, what would happen if Nolan had directed this?
Yes.
And it was really interesting to rewatch under that lens of saying like how different it would be, how much louder it would be. The time jumps would have been kind of weird or whatever. But anyway, that's all I really I rewatched a ton of stuff because I was watching your dog, and I was like, oh, what movies does Tim have that I don't have access to?
Contact has one of the greatest shots of all time.
Yeah.
Of her running down the hallway.
Yes.
In camera, and then you realize it's up the stairs.
Yeah.
And then it's in the mirror.
Yeah.
Because that, like, Robert Zemeckis, a lot of stuff he does, trickery with cameras, like, that still is one of the greatest shots I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's a great film. Obviously go see it. As mentioned, on this episode, we are going to be rewatching Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. I would be surprised if you have not seen this out there, but in case you haven't, the film follows Captain Jack Sparrow, a pirate who has lost his ship, the Black Pearl, after his mutinous crew left him for dead on a deserted island. Jack is on a quest to recapture his ship and then set out for a lost treasure. He soon comes across the path of young Will Turner, an orphaned swordsmith. I think I got that out.
Good.
Who is in love with the governor's daughter, Elizabeth Swann. Naturally, Sparrow is captured by the good guys, but Swann is kidnapped by the crew of the Pearl for she is in possession of the last piece of gold from a doomed treasure, the very same treasure that Sparrow is looking for. Together, Jack and Will must set out to find the Black Pearl so that Will can save Elizabeth and Jack can get what he seeks.
Good summary.
Thank you. I wrote it in a minute. The
Well
film
done.
is directed by Gore Verbinski, written by Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio, and stars Johnny Depp, Orlando Bloom, Keira Knightley, Jeffrey Rush, Jack Davenport, Jonathan Pryce, and also features Zoe Saldana.
I believe thanks are in order. Had a brush with the East India Trading Company, did we? Pirate? Hang him. Keep your guns on him, men. Gillette, fetch some irons. Well, well. Jack Sparrow, isn't it?
Captain Jack Sparrow, if you please.
Well, I don't see your ship. Captain?
I'm in the market, as it were.
He said he'd come to commandeer one.
Told you he was telling the truth. These are his, sir.
No additional shot nor powder. A compass that doesn't point north. And I half expected it to be made of wood. You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of me.
Our first segment, as always, then, is Drinking Buddies,
Come on, not my fucking beer.
where we present the beers we will be drinking while rewatching our subject film. As our name would suggest, we cover 4 beers. Tim will be walking us through our buddies for tonight, so take it away, Tim.
Thank you. I'm very excited that we have all theme options.
All theme beers.
And not like a crazy stretch.
You're excited. Feel these nipples.
Like a, oh yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, I'll be the judge of that.
Yeah,
But
we'll
all
go
right.
from there. From Lupulin Brewing out of Big Lake,
Sure.
Minnesota. They have their 8 count. See which part is the...
Pieces of 8?
No, that's
Oh,
great.
okay.
Tropical Hazy IPA.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I want something like this. I want an IPA. Oh, it's tropical with hints of mandarin, orange, and coconut and citrus. So I'm like, all right, that's nice and tropical. The
I'm
Caribbean.
disappointed in you, man. Pieces of 8 is a real treasure thing. So
Well,
there you
See,
go.
this is why we collaborate on this.
Mhm.
And in real time, we see how great these selections are. And then Humble Forager. Haven't had them for a while, but out of Wisconsin, I was looking for a sour option. And they have their Enchanted Island.
Yep.
Almost like, I don't know, Ghost or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
Their
Oh.
Hurricane.
Huh.
Which happens a lot. Like I did think initially Tiki, then I'm like, oh wait, no, that's Polynesian. So a little bit
Yeah.
part of the different part of the world. Their Tiki Sour, which is passion fruit, mandarin, cherry, calamansi, and honey. And then what is the pearls color?
Black.
Boom. Out of Revelation Brewing Ale Works, which we had recently
Yeah.
out of Northwestern Minnesota. Their 100-watt black IPA.
Another black IPA.
Yes. And then
Out of Halleck, Minnesota.
I'm very curious on this. It might be great or a complete dumpster fire, but
Ooh.
had to find one
We
with
haven't,
ven.
yeah, we haven't had a strange brew in a while either. I
It's
haven't been looking.
it's going to be that, I think.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, definitely rum is
Okay.
involved. It's hard to
Yeah, I
find
assumed there'd be something like
rum
that.
barrel aged.
Yeah.
So Central Waters out of Wisconsin, they have their Phantasma Cosmico Chocolate Stout, which is rum barrel aged imperial stout with cocoa nibs, cinnamon sticks, vanilla, ancho, and guajillo chili peppers.
Oh,
So it's going to be one of those like
son of a bitch.
spicy chocolate ones they have. I'm hoping it's like the smoky flavor and not like a, hence why I have one bottle for us to
that's
split
fine. Yeah.
where we can have a little sample up together. But yeah.
the trace pepper one or whatever you
Oh
got.
God, no, not that. So yeah, that's our drinking buddies tonight.
I don't see a lot of rum barrel aged.
It's hard to find one.
Yeah.
Hence,
Yep.
the other one was a rum barrel with ginger and lemon zest, and I was like, yeah, hard pass.
No. Yeah. LTD used to do a rum barrel aged sour every year, but they stopped doing those for their
good.
anniversary. So, well, thank you. That brings us to the social network,
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
where we take a look back at the critical and fan reception from 20 years ago. Tim takes point on these as usual. So, Tim, what did the critics say?
Sorry, flashback, I forgot.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. Gotta have that.
Social Network. The IMDb rating is 8.1 out of 10, which is
One of our highest.
pretty high.
Yeah.
Then Stephen D. Greydanis of Decent Films. I just like that. I'm like, God bless the internet. said the most remarkable thing about Pirates of the Caribbean is neither Johnny Depp's mesmerizing performance nor ILM's literally eye-popping skeletal ghost ship crew, but the sheer fact that the movie works at all.
Yep.
My favorite reviewer name of all time, Kirk Honeycutt of Hollywood Reporter. I've had him on one time before. I love him.
I know, yeah. It's like, I feel like he's a detective, maybe? I don't even know. Like an 80s detective on Miami Vice. Like, Honeycutt! Yeah, Chief?
At it again, huh? Honeycutt!
Honeycutt!
Said, this is one time when a cartoon approach in live action is exactly right. The movie's flamboyant personalities and tongue-in-cheek action push the envelope of high camp without ever succumbing to sheer silliness. Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4. Said, at first it's fun to see a pirate sword fight, but eventually it gets to the point where the sword clashing, yard arms swinging, and timber shivering get repetitive. And yet the movie made me grin at times and enjoy the way Depp and Jeffrey Rush fearlessly provide performances that seem nourished by deep wells of nuttiness. In particular, savor Depp's work, for his choices are original in every way. There has never been a pirate, or for that matter, a human being like this in any other movie. It's like, all right.
You also said sword.
I know. I said it. I'm like, I was going to go forward. Yeah. Swords. S-words.
S-words.
Academy Awards that year up for 5 nominations for Best Sound Editing, Sound Mixing, Makeup, Hair, Visual Effects, and Best Actor and Johnny Depp.
I love that.
Still can't believe he was up.
I mean, but
you can.
I can.
Yes.
I mean, yeah. But yeah, I can't wait to talk about this. And like, I have memories of seeing this / when I first saw the preview.
Yeah.
I remember when I first saw the preview, like, oh,
what is
this? Is such a weird, I can't, like, objectively speaking, I can't believe we're covering this movie 20 years later. Not that it wasn't a huge hit or anything like that, but when you think back to that, when it was first announced and stuff, everyone was like rolling their eyes and thought it was the dumbest thing ever.
Movie.
And now we're literally like, there's just a Barbie movie out recently. We're just like, what is happening? What has happened to
the Tiki Sour? It's like a tiki room. It's a Disney theme park.
In the tiki
man.
tiki
Another
room.
All
right. Well, let me get back to my notes so I can know what I'm saying. All right. Well, there we go. We're going to pause and rewatch the movie if you are so inclined. And apparently 8.1 out of 10 of you love this movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
Go right ahead and watch along with us. If not, we'll see you on the other side of this break. Here now is Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. Yeah.
You don't know what this is, do you?
It's a pirate medallion.
This is Aztec gold. One of 882 identical pieces they delivered in a stone chest to Cortez himself. Blood money paid to stem the slaughter he wreaked upon him with his armies. But the greed of Cortez was insatiable. So the heathen gods placed upon the gold a terrible curse. An immortal that removes but a single piece from that stone chest shall be punished for eternity.
I hardly believe in ghost stories anymore, Captain Barbossa.
Aye. That's exactly what I thought when we were first told the tale. Buried on an island of the dead, what cannot be found, except for those who know where it is. Find it, we did. There be the chest. Inside be the gold. We took them all. We spent them and traded them. And frittered them away. Drink and food and pleasurable company. The more we gave them away, the more we came to realize the drink would not satisfy. Food turned to ash in our mouths. And all the pleasurable company in the world could not slake our lust. We accursed men, Miss Turner. Compelled by greed we were, but now we are consumed by it.
Well, welcome back to 20 Years 4 Beers, where we have just finished re-watching Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, and also have pretty much enjoyed 4 new beers that we will review in a segment coming up. But first, as usual, we jump right into our reaction segment that we call Spotlight.
They knew, and they let it happen.
Where we highlight and discuss our top takeaways of any kind from rewatching the film. Tim, what do you got?
Dude, this movie has no business
Yeah.
being as good as it is.
Yeah.
We
Perfect
talked about it when we
example of
first saw it.
We've done this a few times, but yeah.
Throughout time,
Yep.
20 years, it is so damn enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like everything across the board is solid. I mean, you think about when it first came out and we were like, I'm sorry, they took a pretty cheesy ride from Disney.
A terrible ride. Yeah.
Yeah, and made a movie out of it. No one expected anything.
No.
Truly. Like low hanging fruit, like this is going to be really, really stupid. And
Yeah.
costuming, performances, the graphics, like compelling enough story to keep you engaged. And it works really well throughout the movie. So we were watching it
beginning to
and
end. Yep.
I haven't seen it in quite some time. Last year, a little bit with the kids, but again,
You're on your phone the whole time.
like, yeah, like the whole like parenting, like, yeah, I've seen it enough times, but like not like sitting down to truly watch it to appreciate it.
Yeah.
It is so surprisingly solid. I'm so happy with it that, that's the first reaction was just like, I love talking about these when we finish it. And it's not like I don't know, they're fun, emotional stuff. Like it's just fun.
Mhm.
It's super fun. So yeah.
Yeah, it's I do remember I was in the theater in Orange City, Iowa, watching 8 Mile, I think, or no, it wasn't 8 Mile, but I was seeing some movie then, and then the preview came on of Pirates of the Caribbean, and we were all like, what?
Yeah.
What? Because we had no idea at the time that was happening. Like they had, you just don't. It's not like now where you hear that they greenlighted a film and then a year and a half later, there it is in the theater. It's
exactly.
just, you didn't necessarily know it. And yeah, I remember thinking like, what? This is stupid. And the teaser trailer was dumb and cheesy. And then the year comes around and then I was like, oh, this actually looks really cool. And then it was like, yeah,
reviews were like,
this is glowing.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll talk about it in my verdict, but yeah, this is a perfect example of a movie that has on paper has no business being as good as it actually is.
Yes.
I actually think this is one of the few films like there are no notes here from a qualm standpoint. Like there aren't holes in the story. I know that there's 4 movies or 5 movies after this and they might make another one. I actually really enjoyed the second one of these but this is just like they could have just been done.
Yes.
You're done.
Yes.
We're good. And it is not perfect, but there aren't, like, we watched Jurassic Park. There are many things in Jurassic Park that are like, okay, you missed this. And even you talked about while we were watching it, like the attention to detail on this is really impressive. So I agree. There's no business being as good as it is.
Like the stupid stuff where, like, you wouldn't care about. It doesn't develop the story. But when Will Turner and Jack Sparrow are under the boats, canoes, or whatever, and
underwater.
Turner steps on a lobster trap. And it's just like a ha ha ha. And the rope is up to the mainland or the water level with a barrel.
Yeah.
It seems like a humorous thing. But no,
well, and because then it's an Easter egg, because then on the original ride, there's the kid fishing off the end of the pier. Like that's what that was. That when you ropes
wink,
up and
wink.
you see it is. There's this kid fishing off the end of the pier. So you think it's like this Easter egg of like, oh, haha, it's about the ride. No.
But then the next scene is to get onto the ship, it would have to explain they're going to hook something to the anchor, throw that rope up, and climb up it. It doesn't develop it. It doesn't have any kind of like hard hitting, here's a plot point, but it's a tiny detail.
Tons of them. That
just totally elevates it from, because they didn't have to have it. Just be like, you got on the ship somehow. No, they are, So what works really well for me is this, like, I forget watching it at the time, but seeing it again, like, it takes its time.
Yeah.
In the first half hour to really set it up. Like a movie like this, maybe a lesser version, would have the attention grabbing element in the first few moments and then snap back to something or a hard pivot or like a, here's the credits. And then we go from there. It's like engage the audience. And then we go from there. It takes like 30 minutes to really set up this world of who these characters are and the environment that it's in.
Right.
Which is a really, I think, a great sign of like the confidence that Verbinski had in the direction and the writing, as far as we're just going to take our time to tell what we want to tell, because it also does a fantastic job of having little nuggets of a larger story going on. It's like when Sparrow rescues Elizabeth Swann from drowning and finds a medallion. He's like, where did you get that?
Yeah.
It's the first hint of something going
he didn't
on
know.
bigger.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
And then, when Sparrow and Turner are fighting in the blacksmith shop, and he's about like, he has a gun on him. He's like, this shot's not meant for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't know what that means.
What does this
Right.
mean?
Yep.
And then again, when Sparrow's in the jail cell and the pirates are coming there and they don't want to break him out, but he reaches his arm through, and then that's the first time a skeleton comes through in the moonlight. And even Sparrow's like, this is new. And then the Turner name hitting, it's these tiny little things that keep you intrigued from an audience perspective. You're like, huh,
right.
There's something larger than just a fun swashbuckling kind of story. So then when, yes, the Black Pearl attack comes on the town or port, and these established characters are separated, they've done enough to establish intrigue that when they're like, okay, we have to go rescue Elizabeth, it's not just a plot point that would be a lesser movie of this damsel in distress is now in peril, let's rescue her.
Right.
They've done enough to hint at a larger world going on that when they're going to rescue her, you have these hints that then get fleshed out further and further, that I just, again, amazed at their ability to tell this story that's so stupid. It's so stupid. But yet they think about what would it be to keep the audience engaged in this story that's not just, yo ho, and then we have pirate stuff. So I, watching it through that, not critical lens, but just talking through it for the podcast, was like, why would this be good in terms of having it be better than what it expects to be? And that's a prime example. They do a little bit of planting these seeds that pay off at the end.
Yeah, I think I didn't do any research. I don't think were there movies based on rides before this?
I think it's the first time.
You know what I mean? I'm always kind of but so let's assume it's not from a Disney perspective.
Sure.
Did you watch Jungle Cruise?
No, I have not.
So I really like Jungle Cruise.
Okay.
But the difference between this movie, Pirates, and Jungle Cruise is that there's this, at this time when they make this movie, there's no expectation of quality.
Yep.
But there is, from a studio perspective, yeah, you're going to spend $80-100 million or whatever, but there's no expectation. There's no algorithm. There's no, we're going to make sure to, cut off the edges and round off the edges or whatever to make sure that as many people are pleased with this as possible.
Demographic friendly.
Right.
Yep.
And so Jungle Cruise to me is that. And I watch it. I actually really enjoy it.
Okay.
So did my kid, and we really enjoyed it.
Yep.
But that's the difference to me is as time has gone on in the last 20 years, we see it in the MCU, we see it in animation, we see it in Disney, we see it in all these places.
Yep.
They're really trying to get to as many people as possible to a detriment.
Yeah.
Because I think a movie like this does not appeal to, even though this movie has action, comedy, some drama, some romance, some sci-fi.
Yeah.
It has a lot of aspects to it, but it doesn't appeal to everyone necessarily on paper. And I think that's what I think about with this is it was so unique at the time. It was so unexpected that it's wonderful. So
yes.
I would say watch Jungle Cruise. I mean,
okay.
it actually is really good. I'm going to come off of that more to say that on paper and in theory, there is no need for the pirates to be cursed and be walking dead.
Yeah.
If you were to write out this story ahead of time, we've all seen new Disney would not do this.
No.
Like, we've all seen pirate movies. They're all for the gold. They're all like, you could have written it in such a way that they didn't need to be cursed necessarily. They could have just been seeking this gold and seeking this. And then Will wants to save Elizabeth and Jack wants the ship back and all this stuff. But without that, without the curse, this movie is not as enjoyable as it could be.
Absolutely.
And that's, I mean, on paper, it makes no sense to write, oh, they're essentially zombies. They're not zombies, but they're just skeletons in the moonlight. Like, who greenlights this? Like, I'm baffled that this movie not only got made, because again, we think of this is before what we know now. It doesn't baffle me when a ride gets adapted into a movie now, or a brand like Barbie or Lego or any of these others. It doesn't baffle me that or what Mattel is about to do and literally just
rinse and repeat.
Yeah, sexually assault their entire brand.
Polly Pocket, here we come.
Oh, Garbage Pail Kids, we're good. Let's do it.
Yes.
That doesn't surprise us anymore. But at the time, and you think like, so now they wouldn't do that. They would not do. And I will say, neither of us have seen Barbie, but it sounds like that's what's so impressive about it is it's like old school. You have allowed things that you might not think a studio would allow. Yeah. And this is what this movie is. Disney, like, who allows what they do in this? The skeletons, the Walking Dead on paper make no sense in terms of if I'm going to pitch you this, like, here's this pirate, here's this pirate coming in. You've got this young guy and you've got a romance and you've got this swashbuckling thing or whatever. Oh, and by the way, they're all zombies.
It's supernatural.
Like, yeah.
Yes.
Like, what? Like, that doesn't get greenlit nowadays.
No, and that's where I wonder about like some of the like defying expectations, where they're like, okay, from either a greenlit standpoint or thinking through a story point, what would it take to keep it intriguing, where it's not just run of the mill gold or seeking this stuff?
Yeah,
and then perhaps somebody says, Aztec gold. There could be a curse there.
Yeah.
And then it goes from there. Whatever it is.
Yeah, because they're in the Caribbean. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
So I agree. And that piece stands out for me where, this is coming out at a time where technology is advancing from a computer graphics standpoint. We've got Gollum in the Lord of the Rings movies.
Sure.
And good or bad as it is, we talked about Jurassic Park, how it stands up, but the digital effects were exploding in the early 2000s, where this movie actually, I think, does a really great job of like judiciously understanding like practical effects and the digital effects, where the sequences where they're fighting on the ships and on the ocean and the hand to hand is really great. But I always remember at the time being impressed by it. It actually really holds up. The CGI when it comes to so much of the skeletal characters. So maybe they're thinking, okay, it could be just a normal story. And then whatever Disney's like, well, what if there is a supernatural element? Can you accomplish it with the graphics? Where the final fight sequence is so incredible. Where they're jumping in and out between the moonlight
in the cave, even
in the cave, specifically the cave, where they're jumping back and forth. Where it's one thing to have, as we've come to appreciate now, like the computer graphics where you have all the different dots and stuff like that, where you can control so much. They're clearly filming this on a soundstage, and the actors are jumping into where the light is and coming back, and they're having it transfer real time, at least from the movie goes, into the skeletal characters and back and forth. There's times where, the CGI doesn't hold up in terms of like underwater stuff or some of the at night, like when she's finding out for like the first time and the whole ship is skeletal and she's jumping. I'm like, it's fine. It's not terrible. It looks like a computer, like a video game cutscene at times. So take it or leave it. But for that last sequence, it's really well done. And so that's what I think elevates this movie from just being a run of the mill kind of, you throw some effort at it and some money, it works out. Where it's creative. It's super creative in terms of how they are not just, we talked about the computer graphics of like style over substance. It's elevating the substance to have the style work together with it. So I remember like in the theater, be like blown away by what they were doing.
Yeah, I was up for visual effects that year. I think they're still outstanding. I know there are things that you go, if I had to nitpick, I'd go, that's not as good.
Yeah. Like the monkey,
But it's 20 years on, man. Like, I will accept slightly not as good graphics 20 years on versus objectively terrible graphics. And we've had other films that are objectively terrible graphics. So as a movie like this ages, I actually get more impressed by it.
Sure.
Because there are very few in fact, one of the worst digital is when the Gauntless or what like runs into the rowboat.
Yes. Yeah.
That's actually one of the worst ones.
I agree. Yep.
I was like, oh, that looks really stupid.
Yep.
That looks like a TV movie or whatever. But it's 20 years on, man. Yep. Like, I watch, Matt and I are watching MCU TV shows on Disney Plus or whatever.
Yep.
There's still graphics that aren't as good as this movie.
No.
And there's been 20 years. Yeah. So you would think like, okay. So I'm actually really impressed with the graphics, even the underwater stuff when they're walking and they go under the shade and they go from skeleton to human underwater and they go back or whatever.
Yep.
I think it's pretty solid, but in particular, that cave scene is outstanding where they go in and out of the little pockets of moonlight along the way.
Yes.
It's outstanding.
Love it.
I think for me, I have a couple other points. I know we're going to talk about Depp, I assume. Yeah.
Clearly. Yes.
So, but before we get into that, to me, this is, I think we've talked about in this past. I couldn't quite get there in terms of like referencing what we've talked about in 70 some odd episodes. But previously, specifically with Nolan and other indie film directors taking on large scale films, this is why movie studios don't hand big tentpole films over to indie directors more is astonishing to me.
Yeah.
Gore Verbinski.
Yeah.
He did Mouse Hunt and then The Ring.
Yes.
And one other movie in between there. Oh, The Mexican.
Yes.
Underrated actually. And then they hand him, I think $100 million, $150 million. Like, while we were watching it, we were saying like that shot is amazing and this shot is amazing.
Yes.
And they were these realist sort of feeling shots, even though like when the ship was blowing up behind him, we know it was probably a green screen in front of him or whatever, but like it looked really good. And we see it 20 years on again for the 5th time tonight, Barbie. Greta Gerwig taking on Barbie after a couple other indie big films. Spielberg took on Jaws after a couple indie films. And like, why movie studios do not do this more?
Yep.
Nolan takes on Batman Begins after taking Memento and Insomnia. And like, here we go. It's just why they don't hand this off to people who like, they know how to make the best out of no budget.
Yeah.
So now you're going to like give them a budget, but they still find cool ways to like make it look cool. God, this is a great example of that to me. Gore Verbinski, all those shots when Barbossa is just walking as the mast is just like falling in on him. Like, oh man, the shots are great. Everything about it. This is a great example to me of how studios should allow small budget filmmakers to make big budget films.
Absolutely. I mean, we talked about that with, X-Men and X-Men 2, where,
Sure. Well, especially, X-Men. Yeah.
Yeah. And like Bryan Singer does nothing and then tries this and...
Nothing. He did The Usual Suspects.
Sorry. To the level of like big budget effects. that was after it. But like, yes, where you can see the benefit of having a I don't know, a director that's all about like the shots and the connection and the story element,
right?
And you have the spectacle to it, right? And it can pay off. Yes, there's shots in this that I forgot, and we're talking through as I was watching. We're like, that's a fantastic.
There's great shots in this.
Yes, so good. So before we get to Depp,
that's my last point. So go right ahead.
I think that Jeffrey Rush actually gets overlooked in this.
Totally.
As Barbossa.
Yep. He's outstanding.
He's so good.
Yep.
And a movie like this, we talk about the elements where, again, it has no business being as good as it is, but it really only works when you have a villain as compelling as Depp is in this. And he's the perfect kind of, and I've talked about in previous podcasts, my annoyance with, like, as I call it, the mustache twirling villain, where it's like the woo, ha 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 ha. But this is just that amount of like over the top, but not quite being ridiculous.
Right.
Where he's bounced and the accent and the like larger than life performance is so great, where the villain is necessary to be a foil for the protagonist. But what's so great about this is when he doesn't come on till like an hour in. It feels like, roughly.
Yeah.
And then when he talks about, as we learn more about the curse, like missing out on the experiences, like they were like all about the gold and they could plunder it and then spend it as they wish. And then what they learned about it was that they would lose out on the things in life, like experiences, the tactile, like all the wonderful things.
Yeah. Food.
Yes.
Women.
He's surprisingly sympathetic.
Really, yeah. Yep.
It's not just like a villain, like, ha ha. And I agree, that's the point of, it sounds weird, but by making it this supernatural element, it adds this level that you don't expect from a villain standpoint, where it's not just, I'm going after the biggest spoils and I'm going to have now this, amount of money. Here we go. It's no, I want to be rid of this curse. So the villain isn't, nefarious or evil.
No,
it's truly returning to a humanity that, again, the movie has no business being as good without a villain that conveys that element of, we're doing this because we have lost out on our humanity. Even though we're evil from a quote unquote pirate standpoint.
Sure.
We've lost our humanity for these things we took for granted. We want to get back to that. And he's so good. He's so good, especially when he's like playing dumb initially about like, oh, there's a lot of big words. And then like, I'm disinclined to acquiesce to your request.
Yep.
And it's like so great as far as like, no, I am on to your scheme. So I think Jeffrey Rush is so good.
Yeah. I've forgotten a little bit on this for sure.
Although
I will say, like, what he benefits from is that Jack Sparrow and Barbossa are one in this. I mean, they're one of the same. Had Sparrow gone for this treasure, he would have been in the same boat.
Yep.
So, like, I think that is what is likable about Barbossa, to say he's not evil. Yep. He's literally trying to get his humanity back.
Yes.
Like, and he isn't trying to destroy half the population of, modern movies and stuff like that.
Yes.
He's literally just like, give this back and give me some blood and we'll be human again. That's all he wants. So I think there is some humanization of that, like we can relate to.
All right. Before we talk about Depp, that's your last point.
Yeah.
Really quick. I was reading through some reviews about this, and a lot of them had some weird ideas about like, you could cut out 15, 20 minutes and like really condense it. And what I like about this,
it's under 2 hours. It's like an hour and 57 minutes, isn't it?
It's like 2 hours and 20 minutes.
What?
Yeah, it's long. But but that being said, the counter I'd have to that is, it's doing right by the sake of like, this has moments of kind of theme park aspects. So, when Will and Sparrow are fighting in the blacksmith shop, and like, Elizabeth's like first experience, like she's up and down at the ship, and like she gets caught up and moved around, like great. But I actually kind of like they're leaning into like the wink to the audience of like, this came from a theme park ride.
Yeah. Don't ignore it. Embrace it.
Yeah. Like we're going to let it like play out a bit, but I don't know that I never, from the first viewing throughout every other viewing, I never felt like I was bored or like, yeah, you could tighten this up a bit.
I thought it was under 2 hours.
Yeah.
You're right. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. It's a long movie for this kind of venture, but it never felt like it didn't earn that time.
No, but you said it earlier. We're a half hour. It takes its time. If you're a half hour in, like you suddenly care about these characters.
Yes.
And yeah, I actually don't have any quibbles about this movie.
No.
I really don't. I think you have a lesser film would have had lesser female characters, and they don't. Like, good action across the board, like good CGI. I think a really good story. I mean, it's anyone listening to this is going like, yeah, no shit, dude. We love this movie too. I don't know anybody who doesn't like this movie.
That's great.
Right.
That's great.
I mean, it's totally fun. I liken it to National Treasure and some of these other movies that are just like, just sit back and enjoy the ride, man.
Yes.
Literally in this case, like, because I like this better than I ever would ever like Pirates of the Caribbean the ride, which is so terrible.
Yes.
Yeah, God willing, they make it. It's a Small World ride, and it's actually good because that ride is just terrible. All
right, let's talk about.
Here we go. We have a League of Their Own segment here.
Yes.
Actually, we are going to bring back an ongoing segment, somewhat. A League of Their Own.
There's no crying. There's no crying in baseball.
Yeah, it is undeniable when you watch this movie. One of the most iconic entrances in film history of a character on the ship. Depp is just outstanding in this film. There is no point. I guess I should reverse that. At every point that he's on screen, you're like enthralled at watching him.
Yep.
It's not a League of Their Own in the sense of this up and coming sort of star. It's literally like he's been around a while. We've all known him. We've all loved him. But this was like this culmination of let him cook. Just let him do his thing.
Yep.
And bring Keith Richards into this of all freaking things. And run around like some fancy Nancy God knows what person. And yet it works. Everything, whatever inspiration that Johnny Depp had when Gore Verbinski talked to him about it is perfect. No notes. It's just perfect. League of Their Own. He's awesome.
No! Not good! Stop! Not good! What are you doing? You burned all the food, the shade, the rum!
Yes, the rum is gone.
Why is the rum gone?
1, because it is a vile drink that turns even the most respectable men into complete scoundrels. 2, that signal is over 1,000 feet high. The entire Royal Navy is out looking for me. Do you really think that there is even the slightest chance that they won't see it?
But why is the rum gone? Aye! You! Get away from there! You don't have permission to be aboard there, mate.
I'm sorry, it's such a pretty boat. Ship.
What's your name?
Smith.
Oh, Smithy, if you like.
What's your purpose in Port Royal, Mr. Smith? Yeah, and no lies.
All right then. I confess. It is my intention to commandeer one of these ships, pick up a crew and Tortuga, raid, pillage, plunder, and otherwise pilfer my Weasley black guts out.
I said no lies. I think he's telling the truth.
He does something so rarely seen in film, exactly to that point where it's not like a newbie coming out of nowhere and then it like blows up. He's a well-established presence by this time. What he does is turns every type of expectation on its head. So yes, creates a completely unique character that is not a caricature of the typical style or theme of that character. So a pirate, you think about, the like Errol Flynn and like all these kind of like larger than life elements of like I'm a
that
pirate.
manly man thing.
Yes, there you go. And he's so absurd, where he is not like anything ever portrayed in
to this day.
Yes,
there as of now there is just this.
Yes,
nobody else has done anything like this,
and it was unbelievable. I mean, you think about introducing people to this type of movie or kids or whoever, but yes, like you said, watching this in the theater, being floored by what this man is doing, and but what he does is not just like stylized. He has moments of connection to the character, like when he's talking about like like the great thing about this, like an opportune moment where the character isn't just haha, I want my ship back. It's like, no, he starts to develop and grow these elements of empathy and connection to those around him that are like-minded. And so it's not just a performance unto itself.
Right.
It serves the story. And Depp is unreal in this. And I must say, I've seen the second and maybe the third. I forgot much of it. And I've not cared at all about the fourth and fifth one because I'm like, you know what? I don't want to see the diminishment of this character. To me, this perfect version exists in the first, and anything after, I don't care.
1, 2, 3 are rewatchable. I actually really like Dead Man's Chest, second one. At World's End or whatever is fine. Beyond that, you definitely don't. I mean, if you haven't watched them, watch the 3, like kind of that initial trilogy sort of understanding of it, and that's fine. It gets a little off the rails on that third one, and it's definitely that's where it's like feels too long.
Yes,
I actually think Dead Man's Chest is really good.
Yeah.
But anyway,
but Depp is so unreal,
effortless, and it's just like, what more can you say, man? Like it could have been this horrible, like. I think back to Shrek and how it's not quite the same, but I just think about Shrek and how Mike Myers originally recorded all of them in his own voice.
Yeah.
And they were like, nah, and he wanted to do it in Scottish. And you think like, boy, if you had done that in regular, right?
Yep.
And this, from the day one, Johnny Depp has an understanding of what this character was. And the only reason, quite frankly, the only reason we're talking about this movie 20 years on is because of his performance.
Absolutely.
Like,
without
it's
a
just,
doubt.
and rightfully so. His performance, a few years on after this, Tropic Thunder gets Robert Downey Jr. An Oscar nomination.
Yep.
And it's so random to have some of these movies to have Oscar nominations for the 6th time now. Barbie, we think Ryan Gosling might get an Oscar nomination for Barbie later this year. Like, it's so refreshing when some of these movies make it through to have this, because, oh my God, he is so good and well deserving of an Oscar nomination in this particular year. So
can I tell you one final thing?
Go ahead.
That I love about this movie is that, so last year I watched it with the kids, or they put it on and I had it on the background because I was on my phone. Very typical dad stuff. Like,
sure,
I've seen it so many times.
Yeah, I watched it with Matt. Yep.
Yes. But earlier this year, I was driving the kids to school, and they had been talking about some of their friends boasting about watching R-rated movies. I'm like, your friends are lying. There's no way they watched that. No way. And the kids were like, well, we watched Jurassic Park. That's rated R. I'm like, no, it's not. It's PG-13. They're like, have you watched any R-rated movies? Like, no, you haven't. And they're like, what about Pirates of the Caribbean? I'm like, no, it's PG-13. And my daughter goes, really? I thought it was rated R. And I was so mad that I didn't see it coming. And I was so frustrated, and yet like laughing on the way to school, like slow clap, like, God damn it, that's good. So good. So I will always have a special place in this movie for her to be like, really, Dad? I thought this was rated R. I was like, oh, that's good pirate humor.
You know the other pirate humor joke, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I should tell this to you. Yeah. What's a pirate's favorite letter?
I think I've heard this before. You go R.
Yeah, and you go, you think it's R, but it's really the C.
Yeah.
I love that. I gotta tell that joke to Audrey. Or you gotta do it.
That's so good. That's so good. All right.
As we close out our spotlight segment, we come to our final takes called The Verdict.
I'm going up there, I'm going to try it, I'm going to let the jury decide.
This is where Tim and I give our final verdicts after watching the film and decide whether or not the movie held up over the course of 2 decades. Do you want to go first?
Sure. Quick and easy.
Go ahead.
One of the best examples of a film which has no business being as good as it is.
It's like the starting of mine, too.
There you go.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
intro. Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl is enjoyable through and through.
Mm-hmm.
Driven by a career-defining, game-changing performance by Johnny Depp and bolstered by a devil-may-care attitude from director Verbinski. He just...
Yeah, it does seem a little bit like, you're going to give me $100 million to do
cool.
what?
Let's see what
Okay.
happens. It's so good. I would say forget some of the bloat that would come in later installments and just sit back and appreciate the first film. 4 out of 5 for me. I have truly forgotten how enjoyable this damn thing is.
I
There you
agree.
go.
Yeah, mine's pretty short and sweet as well. $140 million was the budget.
Wow.
And we think about Gore Verbinski, and you just go, wait, what now? How much do I have to play with?
Yeah.
Mine was very similar. This is the perfect example of a film that has no business being as good as it is. And I'm here for it. Starting with the timeless performance of Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. Again, the ongoing joke there. Perfect.
Captain.
And ending with an overall feeling of pure delight. Pirates of the Caribbean is a movie that holds up 20 years on and even finds its way to being better than remembered, actually. A perfect mix of action, humor, romance, and sci-fi. Pirates is just plain fun for anyone watching. Not much more to say except watch it again and again. And for that reason, I have 4.5 out of 5.
Nice.
It is a rewatchable, multiple times a year even type of a film. You can't get bored with it.
It's so good.
I mean, you can if it's every day, but let's, within reason.
Sure.
But yeah. All right. Well, then with our reaction segment out of the way, we move on to our reactions to our beers that we drank while rewatching the movie. So that brings us then to our beer reaction segment that we affectionately call Drinking Buddies, the sequel.
Let's get weird.
Where we take a look back at our beers and give our expert ratings. Tim, walk us through.
We started with Lupulin Brewing, their 8-count tropical hazy IPA.
I literally said 8 Lupulin because I couldn't remember 8 counts.
8 Lupulin.
8 pieces of 8.
Which has supposedly a mandarin orange flavor with notes of coconut and citrus. To me, I would say, I don't think so. But it's nice. It's a 3.75 for me. It's decent. I would say not tropical hazy, but it was a nice one to start with. I liked it. Yeah. What say you?
Yar. It's definitely benefit of forgetting what you said in the first part.
Can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about the things?
Yeah.
Because I don't remember any of the tropical God knows what.
Nope.
I have 4 out of 5 because I was like, this is a really good beer.
Yeah.
But if I were to expect the tropical and mandarin or
Mandarin,
yeah,
coconut, citrus.
No, it had a fruity flavor to it. It's just a general sort of citrusy flavor. So yeah, I can see a 3.75, but I was like, I don't know what this is. I wrote 8 Lupulin because I remember 8. Like I don't even remember. Like I was like, what? It was a pale ale or what was it? It was
a hazy IPA.
It was a hazy IPA even.
Yeah.
There you go.
No,
I 4 out of 5. It's good.
It's solid.
I would drink it, but I would not drink it expecting a tropical or fruity or a smoothie or some sort of milkshake IPA. It just tasted good.
It was good.
Yeah.
And then we had Humble Forager out of Wisconsin, their Enchanted Island Hurricane Tiki Sour, which to me, I think they're probably one of the best sour
regularly,
brewery, across the board.
Yeah.
I have yet to be disappointed. For me, it was a 4.5 of the passion fruit, mandarin, cherry, calamansi, lime, and honey. Just really, really solid. I liked it. It was like smoothie-esque, but not glop, 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 so thick.
What was it?
I liked it.
Yeah. I have 4 out of 5. I think they've had other better ones than this, So it's kind of like, I think I've rated them 4.25. It doesn't diminish them at all. It was really good. I had a hard time finishing it. Like it was really. It was a lot.
Usually I don't like tall boys. But...
Yeah, it was a lot towards the end, but I did finish it.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I have 4 out of 5. Yeah.
Good.
It's good. I mean, again, to your point, Humble Forager sours have been on point. Doesn't matter what you buy.
Always solid. Then Revelation Ale works out of what did you say before?
It's Halleck, Minnesota.
Halleck, Minnesota, Northwestern. They're
There you
100 watt
Yeah.
blackout IPA. I gotta say, I enjoy me a good solid black IPA, and this was one of the versions.
Okay,
of
good.
it.
I was like, is
Yeah.
this a
Yeah.
and this was like a
record
butt?
scratch.
Yeah.
No, I was really impressed.
Yeah.
It had a nice, like the dark notes to it, but also the hoppiness to it. It was 4.25.
Yeah.
For me,
There was like a
really
smokiness
good.
almost to it, almost
Right?
like a porter.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. This is one of the better black IPAs I've had. I had
Yes.
4.25 as well. And initially it was a 4, and originally it was a 4, but then I was coming from that sour
Sure.
to a black IPA, so it took a little bit. And yeah, some IPAs have like a muted meh flavor to it. Like it's there, it's a black IPA, but when it hits your tongue, you're kind of like dead. Like the flavor's just dead. There was a ton of flavor to that. It was outstanding.
And it lasted
every
throughout.
time I had Revelation, I like
I'm
keep
really impressed.
wanting to drive up there. Like,
Yeah.
oh man.
Got a day and a half to kill.
Yeah. Well, get it. Get a Holiday Inn reservation nearby.
Sure.
If that's the nicest hotel in
Super
town.
8,
Some
maybe.
motel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was very impressed.
It's good.
I
Yep,
really liked it.
4.25.
And then the final one we had was from Central Waters out of Wisconsin. Their
Central Waters, yeah.
Phantasma Cosmico Chocolate Stout, rum barrel aged imperial stout with cocoa nibs, cinnamon sticks, vanilla, ancho, and guajillo chili peppers. I was very impressed with this.
Yeah.
I expected by the name, like the label and details, that it would be like that kind of spicy nature. It was not like that.
No.
It had like a back, minor heat.
Yeah,
not much, but more like kind of like the in your chest kind of glowing. This is really good. I had it a 4.25.
Yeah,
for me, the rum came through.
A little bit, yeah.
Like the edging of the kind of like the chocolate.
It
and
muted
vanilla.
it a lot, yeah, for sure.
I was thoroughly impressed.
Yeah.
Like I was expecting this might be a couple sipper because it's too spicy and I'll be done. I drank, well, we split it, but so good. Very impressed.
I remember being at 12:30, you handed me a pepper beer, so you better have been able to finish.
Buck
I agree.
up.
I have a 4 out of 5. This to me is exactly what a beer with any kind of spicy peppers should be.
Yep.
It's supposed to be. The bit of heat at the back end, but it's not spicy. It doesn't make you want to not get like. Even people I know who love spice, they want it in moderation. So you're gonna give me this in a 12 ounce and I gotta finish it?
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
This is a lot. So it was there, but it was there from a flavor standpoint.
Yep.
And you get the chocolate with the spice, and you get, I mean, hell, if chocolate and orange can be a thing, why can't chocolate and spice? So I had 4 out of 5. It's I thought it was really good. I would not seek it out.
No.
But I'm not mad that we have it.
And I'm not mad that I have a 3-pack left.
No, I agree.
To drink.
Yeah.
At first I'm like, oh, really? But no, I could see this aging throughout the winter.
God, man, one thing we didn't do is make beer brats out of that spicy pepper one you made.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, all right. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. All right. Our final segment of the episode then is Quiz Show.
The exciting quiz program 21.
Where in our research for the film, we find some interesting trivia nuggets that we hope will stump the other and possibly intrigue you, our dear listeners. I do have a couple.
I got a couple.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I will go first. Let me
do it.
So this film is often forgotten as one in the filmography of a young Zoe Saldana. And she's not in it much, but she is in it. Like, she's not an extra. She's in it a little bit. And while she did not go on to star in any of the other films in this franchise, she would incredibly go on to star in 3 other mega franchises over the last 20 years. Star Trek, Guardians/MCU, and Avatar, making her the second highest grossing woman in box office history, with just around $11 billion in grosses.
Jeez.
With over $13 billion in grosses, can you name the actress in front of Zoe?
I would say she's the most because she's got Avatar, Avatar 2, and wow. The most?
Yep, she's second on the list of highest grossing actresses in history.
Scarlett Johansson.
That is correct.
Yes!
Yep.
Nice.
ScarJo is number 1 with just over $13 billion grosses. Now, my numbers do not include Guardians 3, but even then, that's not multiple billions at that point. So, I mean, she's still number 2, but yeah.
That's a good teaser
ScarJo,
for the happy hour.
There you go.
Well done.
Yeah, just wait for the happy hour.
Oh.
Yep.
I have somewhat unrelated to her. Well, actually, specifically her. So, yes, like you said, Zoe Saldana has a small role in the film, but she would eventually star in countless blockbusters, Avatar, Star Trek, MCU. But she had her screen debut in what 2000 ballet-centric film?
Ballet-centric film. I don't know. Is it the one with what's her face and the? I don't remember her name. What is it?
Center Stage.
Oh,
yeah. I was like, do I do that one or Crossroads with Brittany? I'm like, I don't know which one.
Ruins my next trivia. No, I knew you had. I knew you had that. I had it on here just in case, but yeah.
Yeah, Center Stage.
Center Stage.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll skip my Crossroads. One.
I mean, that's
it's there.
Yep.
So screenwriters Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio.
Oh shit.
Uh-oh. Do you have one too?
No, I don't at all. I have no idea who they are.
Oh, really?
I can't wait to hear
You
this.
should.
Okay.
We've covered at least one of their movies so far. So Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio made names for themselves as writers who could handle a good old-fashioned swashbuckling style film. They wrote, co-wrote, or had animation story credits on the Pirates films, Shrek. They were nominated for an Oscar for Shrek, by the way. They wrote Shrek.
Wow.
Right, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, where were you?
Yeah, that's what's focused on.
Treasure Planet,
writing.
The Road to El Dorado. They wrote the National Treasure 2. The Mask of Zorro films were both these guys. I know, right? These are these guys.
Okay.
And early on, they actually co-wrote Aladdin along with Musker and Clements. They were co-writers on the screenplay.
Okay.
And hell, even they wrote the Godzilla film from 1988 or 1998, excuse me, which is a fun little film.
It's fine.
Right, but that's not the screenwriter's problem.
No.
But their first screenplay to be made into a feature film was in 1989 with a movie starring Fred Savage, Daniel Stern, and Howie Mandel that I personally loved as a kid. What is it?
Oh, it's
Come on now.
Deja Vu.
Nope.
No. It's
about
it's the Freaky Friday mix thing.
No, you're off.
What is it?
Nope. It's a film where Fred Savage finds monsters under his bed, and one of which is Howie Mandel. Blue horns.
I don't know.
Little monsters.
I was thinking like vice versa or
No.
whatever. Like,
I know you're talking about.
Yeah. No,
Little
that's
Monsters.
Right. No.
Do you remember that movie?
I don't remember.
Oh,
that.
I bet you would if you watched it. 1989, man. You were 10. I guarantee you we watched it as
sure
kids.
I would watch it, yeah.
Oh. But then after that, they did Aladdin, and then all those.
Wow.
Yeah, they had a good little filmography going for a while.
Which I think is a testament to like why this movie is as good as they are. Like,
I agree. This is the culmination
caliber
of all of the
Nice.
films. And I like before that, you've got Treasure Planet, a vastly underrated Disney film. You got Shrek. Road to El Dorado is also really good. Mask of Zorro films are really good. Aladdin. Like they really have this understanding of. I hate the term swashbuckling, but that's what it is. That's
Or the
sort of
genre,
adventure.
yes.
All of those films have one thing in common, and that is sort of that adventure element behind it.
That's good. Very good.
There you go. Little Monsters, man. You got to go find it.
Oh, that's good.
So good.
So, might be a little hanging fruit, but we'll see.
Okay, we'll
so,
see.
Johnny Depp had his big screen debut in what 1984 horror classic?
Oh, is it Nightmare on Elm Street?
It is indeed.
Yeah. And he gets eaten in the bed or whatever.
Yeah, he gets slashed up.
I always get the horror films of the early 80s, late 70s mixed up.
Yep.
Like, what is Nightmare on Elm Street? Or,
That's Freddy.
Like, but yeah.
And the 13th is Jason. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And Halloween, Michael Myers. But have you ever watched Nightmare on Elm Street since you've like
probably not since I was in high school.
It doesn't hold up. It's so bad.
I'm sure
it's not. Like, and I can appreciate when I came out, but oh my god, it's so bad. Like Wes Craven, great career.
Yeah.
Wonderful, but it's so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Depp nails it. Nice job.
There you go. I have no others.
Oh, I got 2 more.
There you go.
All right. So how many films has Johnny Depp made with director Tim Burton?
Tim Burton?
Yeah.
This is Gore Verbinski,
I agree.
man.
I agree. But it's Johnny Depp. We don't have a chance for Tim Burton for quite some time. I was just like, hey, I'm going to put out there.
What?
How many films have they worked on together? Johnny Depp
Well, I mean,
and Tim
Edward
Burton.
Scissorhands, obviously, and then you have Sleepy Hollow, and then what was that shitty like soap opera one recently with the vampires, and then
Dark Shadows.
Dark Shadows. I'm gonna say 5.
9.
Oh yeah. What do you got?
Scissorhands, Ed Wood, Sleepy Hollow,
Wood.
Sweeney Todd, Corpse Bride,
Sweeney Todd, I love it.
Charlie, the Chocolate Factory, Alice in Wonderland, Dark Shadows, and then Through the Looking
Tim
Glass.
Burton did do.
Yep.
I forgot Tim Burton, but yeah, okay. I probably could have like walked it
Yeah,
through.
I know, but you're like, I wasn't expecting
I don't
it.
even know. Yeah, what am I gonna do here?
So Jeffrey Rush.
Of all the Tim Burton. Okay,
I know. I'm like, here we go. Jeffrey Rush. He's no stranger to serious fare, despite him being kind of, mustache twirling in this. Having been nominated for numerous Oscars and winning once.
Yeah.
Can you guess how many times he's been nominated? And I can give you some hints, but he's named the movies in which Rush was nominated.
So he won for Shine.
Yep.
For
For
he
lead
was
actor.
nominated for Shakespeare in Love.
Nice for supporting.
Yep, for supporting. He was Quills
He was for lead.
for lead. He was nominated for supporting for King's Speech.
Indeed.
I feel like there's another one in there.
No,
Is that
you're
it?
good.
That's 4?
Yes.
That's it. There you go. I was like,
Nice work.
there you go.
Holy
Good job.
Wow, that's good. Yep.
First of all, Shine is an outstanding.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. As is Shakespeare in Love. We just don't talk about it because of the year it is.
It's a
the movie
great
is really good.
It's a really good movie.
Yes. We just don't talk about that.
No Best Picture worthy.
Yes. So that will bring us to the end of the episode. Stay tuned for our upcoming 20 Years, 4 Beers on Lost in Translation. And for future episodes that I forgot to write down on my notes. So we'll just work back.
Yeah, it's coming.
Fine. They're
Yes.
coming. You'll download it either way. We want to say thank you for taking the time to listen and for clicking that like or subscribe button on your devices. Find us soon to be no longer on Twitter, so on Facebook and on Threads,
X,
and then
you
head
mean
to
X.
yeah. Even then, I'm deleting that account and head to 20years4beers.com. This has been 20 Years 4 Beers. My name is Steve,
I'm Tim.
and thanks for listening.
Thank you. It might be great or a complete dumpster fire. Sword.
Sexually assault
Yes.
their entire
Polly
brand,
Pocket. Here we come.
everything. Oh, Garbage Pail Kids, we're good. Let's do it.
Yo ho, and then we have pirate stuff.
Cut!